Master's been hurt. According to senior brother, the moment Master returned from the battlefield, he locked himself inside his cultivation retreat. No one's allowed near him. My blood ran cold. Master is one of the top martial cultivators in the realm. There aren't many who could even wound him. Who the hell has that kind of power, making him rush straight to heal as soon as he got back? Before senior brother even finished speaking, I was already bursting to get to Silver Wing Peak. I'd barely taken a step when he blocked me with his sword, frowning as he hesitated. Little brother, Master specifically said, especially you're not to go near Silver Wing Peak. I was furious. I glared at him. So you think I'm just a nuisance too? He froze, speechless. Before the battle started, I begged Master to let me join the front lines and fight, but all he gave me was a cold sneer and one icy remark. Go back. Don't embarrass yourself. Then he marched off with the rest of us. My brothers and sisters left me behind to guard the sect alone. I may be the youngest, but everyone says I'm a once-in-a-century prodigy. In combat strength, I'm not behind them one bit. Even if I'd gone to the front lines, how could I have made things worse? Now he's seriously wounded and still insists on keeping me out. Master really hates me. I was fuming, my sword slicing through the air as I shot towards Silver Feather Peak, the wind howling around me and sending birds and beasts scattering in all directions. Silver Feather Peak stood at the summit of the mountains, forever shrouded in snow, a place few dared to tread. I slipped to my master's chambers and pushed the door open, half expecting a barrier to stop me, but it gave way without resistance. The legendary Jonathan Immortal, so meticulous in his ways, had left his sanctuary unprotected? Or was he too weak to even raise a ward anymore? I froze, fear and fury warring inside me. Even if he hated me, I didn't want him hurt. I couldn't help resenting him. If only he'd taken me to battle, maybe he wouldn't have been injured in the first place. At least I could have stepped in front of him. The chamber was empty. My chest tightened. Then I felt it. A faint pulse of spiritual energy from the back mountains. I didn't hesitate. I sprinted toward it, and then I saw it. The moment that would haunt me forever. A frozen lake lay cradled in endless snow, its chill biting through the air. My usually cold and unshakable master sat there, his robes half open, I shut tight, legs crossed on the ice. He was in agony. His brows knotted, his body trembling faintly. Under his skin, faint dark veins were crawling like something alive. Those lines, they looked exactly like demon plague. My blood turned to fire in an instant. How could Master, who's always so powerful and never lets anyone get close, fall for something as underhanded as a demon charm? Just then, I saw my master's lips part slightly, as if whispering something under his breath. I held my breath and strained to listen. Michael, I must have misheard. But then, Master called out my name again. Soft, insistent. I froze like I'd been struck by lightning. Why would my master, after being poisoned by the demon charm, keep calling out my name? Thump. Thump. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it had burst right through my ribs. Just as I stood there stunned, a chill shot down my spine. Then a sharp slash of blade energy came straight at me. Master's eyes opened, cold and expressionless. Who the hell gave you permission to come in? My master had his sword leveled at me again. That cold, aloof look back, like he'd never lowered himself before. Forgot to set the ward. Maybe I played dumb. All innocence, face as thick as a brick. His long lashes flickered once. Then a sharp, dangerous smirk curled his lips. So this is your excuse for storming Silver Falcon Peak? Michael, you've got more nerve than ever. My eyes lingered on the slight gap in my master's robe. He'd just emerged from the icy pool, a flush still painting his cheeks, the sword point pressed against my forehead. Yet I nearly cried from how much it hurt. More than the blade itself. My master paused. Then a gentle but unyielding surge of energy shoved me back. I slammed into the stone cliff with a thud. Snow tumbled from above, nearly burying me in the pile. I've told you 100 times. Trespassing on Silver Falcon Peak is a grave offense. Michael, do you ever listen to a single word I say? There was an edge of anger in his voice. I can't. I hauled myself out of the snowdrift, pouting on the inside, though I couldn't help thinking, why's he always ice-cold toward me? I'm his youngest disciple. Why don't I get any love? He never praises me when my strength improves, nor does he so much as smile when I master a new sword form. Only when I misbehave, when I cause trouble, Does he finally pay attention to me? I smirked inwardly. At least I've got one thing going for me. I can still get under his skin. That means he still cares, right? But then his voice, clear and cool as ever, cut through the silence with absolute authority. 1 year of wall-sitting introspection, or 100 lashes from a spirit whip. Choose. My master always hands down punishment fairly. A year of wall-sitting was just another form of intense cultivation. More a light scolding than real discipline. And the second punishment. Even a cultivator with strong spiritual energy would need weeks to recover. The choice was obvious. He just wanted me out of his hair, confined to silence and solitude. But I'm stubborn. I'll take 100 spirit lashes. The words cut through the silence of the mountain like steel. The master's gaze turned icy in an instant. I met his stare head-on, and a strange thrill sparked deep inside me. Finally, the master let out a cold chuckle. As you wish. He swept his sleeves and walked away. He was mad. He actually cares about me after all. On my way to the discipline hall for punishment, I was practically skipping. My steps light, a grin impossible to hide. The older students standing around all stared, stunned. Little brother's really losing it. One muttered, "What's going on now? Did he do something to piss off the master again?" Another sighed, "Yeah. He's definitely cracked." I just smiled inside. You have no idea. Only this way can he truly remember me. After what felt like forever, I was carried back to my own secluded retreat. Half-conscious and barely holding on. I collapsed onto the bed and drifted into sleep. In my dream, I saw the master. He sat in the icy pool, struggling to contain the demon worm's dark aura, as if racked by agony that tore through him. For some reason, seeing him like that tore at my heart. I wanted to reach out to ease even a sliver of his torment. Just then, a cool, pure surge of spiritual energy seeped into my body. It soothed the burning pain in my wounds, and the reddened skin began to heal at a slow but steady pace. Through the haze, I felt someone sit beside me, warm, familiar, carrying a faint scent of orchid grass. He let out a soft sigh, voice tinged with exasperation and quiet fondness. "You crazy little brat." After waking up, I stayed cooped up in the cave dwelling, nursing my wounds. With no sight of my master, days dragged on endlessly. So I spent every hour poring over ancient texts, especially those detailing the demon clans. Just then, my big brother showed up with some healing ointment, scowling as he started in. "You little troublemaker, always stirring things up. I told you not to go near Silver Feather Peak. Didn't listen, and now you're paying the price." He handed me a small porcelain bottle, urging me to apply it regularly, then launched into another lecture about not making my master angry again. But all I could think about was the master. Unable to hold back, I asked, "Senior brother, master's so strong. Who on earth could hurt him like this?" He shook his head. "All I know is that he was lured into a spell. An illusion trap. That made no sense. Illusions were tricks of the mind. How could my master fall for something like that?" I stared absently at the jade vial senior brother gave me. Fingers slipping, the thing nearly tumbled to the floor. He lunged in time, catching it with a sigh. "This is rare spirit medicine. Worth more than gold. Don't you dare break it." "Huh? Senior brother can't even brew medicine. Who gave him this?" The jade vial was warm to the touch. Just like a wild thought struck me. Could it be master? I'd just gotten out 2 words when brother senior, like a kid caught red-handed, spilled everything in one go. "Master absolutely warned me not to tell you he gave you this medicine." We stared at each other, stunned into silence. Before leaving, brother senior kept repeating I couldn't betray him, or he'd make me regret it. Holding the warm little bottle, I couldn't help but smile. Master hated me, didn't he? Then why'd he go to all this trouble for a reckless little demon like me? Why couldn't he just admit he cared? I've known since I was a kid that my body's different from everyone else's. No matter how bad the injury, I always heal up fast. Faster than any normal cultivator, almost like a demon. Ordinary cultivators would be bedridden for at least 2 or 3 months after such a punishment. Me? I was mostly back on my feet in less than a month. I couldn't wait to see my master. Had to know how his injuries were holding up and what that demon curse had done to him. From the ancient texts, I'd learned that a demon's curse feeds on willpower and obsession. If it isn't relieved, the poison will seize control. Mind gone, soul lost. The only way to fully purge the curse is for a demon to bond with you using their true core essence. letting their pure demonic energy counteract the venom, then dissolving it through mutual affection in spirit. A demon's core is their very soul. Cutting it out would leave them shattered, losing half their power and needing a century to rebuild. Throughout history, no demon had ever willingly given up their soul core for a foreigner. Master, he didn't let me climb Silver Wing Peak, so I stayed halfway up, waiting for him to show. Turns out, I ran into him coming down the mountain with the headmaster's younger brother. I ducked behind a rock and held my breath, eavesdropping. The headmaster's younger brother spoke in a heavy tone. Demons are getting bolder. There might be a spy inside the sect. You're still healing. Be careful with everything, especially your little disciple. My master snapped right back, voice firm. Michael's someone I raised from nothing. He'd never side with demons. Master sect head side. I trust him, of course, but his past. It's too easy for the demon clan to exploit. Michael may act reckless and wild on the surface, but his heart's pure. He knew he'd be punished. Still went up the mountain to check on you after your injury. And you let him do it. Didn't even try to stop him from throwing himself into trouble. My master snorted. He needs a little pain to wake up. Master Elder sighed, shaking his head. You're such a hard talker with a soft heart, Jonathan. Just wait. One day you'll regret this. They fell silent after that, watching the older man vanish into the distance. My heart was hammering in my chest. What kind of secret is buried in my past? Why would I be such an easy target for demons? Wasn't I just a street orphan he pulled from the battlefield? Come out. My master's voice cut through the air. He'd known I was there all along. I stepped out from behind the rock, hands hanging limply, standing like a kid caught red-handed. Bold move. He stared at me, voice edged with reprimand. Still healing and you're back on Silver Wing Peak causing trouble? I didn't make it to the top. I stayed halfway. I shot back, defiant. What's it this time? His voice was ice cold. Nothing like the one he'd used by the frozen pool that day. What did my master's elder brother mean? Is it really true? There's something hidden about my past. He didn't seem surprised by my question, just turned and started walking up the mountain, tossing over his shoulder. Come on. But when we reached his quarters, I froze in place. He glanced at me sideways, a flicker of confusion in his eyes. I played dumb. Breaking into Silver Wing Peak is punishable, Master. Since you haven't personally said I can enter, I'm not daring to go in. His sharp eyes softened with exasperation. I've given you leave, so... Does that mean I won't get punished anymore if I come here to see you? He paused, then asked. This place is bleak and lonely. Your brothers and sisters avoid it like the plague. Why do you keep coming back? Because you're here. I want to see you every single day. I slumped my shoulders, voice thick with pout. He stared at me in silence for a beat, his expression unreadable, then finally said, just make sure you've got something important to talk about. The message was clear. He'd let me come, but no more idle visits. My face lit up instantly. Finally, no more sneaking in. I sat down neatly, waiting for him to tell me the truth about who I really am. Then he opened his mouth, and the first words chilled me to the bone. You're half magical, born from a demon lord and a human woman. My knees gave out. I crashed to the floor, too stunned to speak. Back then, there was a demon lord who slaughtered over 100 human women to fuel his dark cultivation, siring half-demon children from each. He planned to turn these infants into infant demons. Once he had 108 of them, his forbidden arts would be complete. And when that happened, hell would break loose across the mortal realm. We arrived just in time. Only one child was left before his ritual could finish. You were that final child. I froze, my body trembling all over, mind completely blank. Demons and humans. How could they even have a child together? If I really am half demon, why do I look exactly like any ordinary human? Normally, children born of demons and humans are mindless beasts. Born with no reason, only bloodlust, pure monsters from start to finish. But you're an exception. That demon was finally killed by the righteous sex, his soul shattered beyond recovery. But what to do with me? That became the real problem. The sex patriarch believed my blood was tainted. Demon's poison would inevitably boil over one day, so I should be eliminated without mercy. But your human mother, so innocent and unaware, had stumbled upon Master just before she passed. She begged him, tears streaming down her face. Save my child. Master couldn't bear to watch a child suffer. He stepped forward, took me in, and brought this hot potato back to the sect himself. He swore before the entire order. If I ever showed even a hint of bloodlust, he'd be the one to end my life. So Master told everyone I was an orphan he found on the battlefield. He claimed me as his disciple and raised me with care. And he's done just that for over 100 years now. When Master finished speaking, he lifted his teacup and took a slow sip of the clear brew. My eyes fixed on his hand. Couldn't look away. There was a faint scar just above the base of his thumb. I'd seen it since I first remembered anything. Legend says only wounds soaked in demon energy leave scars that never fade. Master, was this scar from your battle with the demon lord? My voice cracked, shaky with emotion. Master set down his teacup and gave a faint hum. Back then, when I stole you from that demon, he slashed me. The words had barely left his lips when he winced, clutching at his chest. A strange flush crept back onto his cheeks. His eyes turned icy, voice sharp. That's enough for today, you should go. Master, was it happening again? The unnatural flush spreading across his face. Was the poison stirring up once more? Could my presence be triggering his poison? I stared at him, expression tangled, rooted to the spot. He instantly channeled his spirit energy to suppress it. His eyes reddened slightly as he snapped. Don't you understand? Get out. Why does he always push me away whenever I try to get close? He's always shutting me out. A surge of hurt and fury shot through me, defiance flaring up in an instant. No, Master, I know you're infected with the demon worm. A sharp, icy killing intent slammed into me. Something I hadn't felt in ages, a pressure that froze the blood. Get lost. My master drew his sword again. The blade pointed at me once more with cold precision. Even with the demon curse coursing through him, Jonathan, the legendary immortal, was still terrifyingly powerful. His face was frozen in stone, eyes like shards of ice. Like he wanted to tear me apart raw. And yet, I wasn't just afraid. A strange thrill stirred beneath the fear. This was my master, exactly as he should be. What's wrong, Master? I asked, my voice steady despite the chill crawling up my spine. I tilted my head back, forcing a smirk as the weight of his glare pressed down on me. Afraid you can't admit it? That you've got something different for me? I leaned in, reckless and raw. If you're willing, I could use my own spirit force to help contain the poison. Being half demon, maybe I'm immune or at least better suited than anyone else. What do you think? I must have lost my mind, saying something like that. Treasonous, blasphemous, a direct insult to everything a disciple should respect. Could it be, after all this time, the demon blood inside me is finally waking up? His patience snapped. He threw down his sword and swung the hilt hard. Just once, across my skull. Stars exploded behind my eyes. I crashed to the ground, then nothing. The last thing I caught before blacking out, him, close enough that I could feel his heat, and the scent of orchids rising like steam from his skin. I came to my senses back in my own secluded chambers. The first thing I saw was my elder brother's face, etched with worry. He launched into a rapid fire, scolding the moment he saw me stir. You reckless kid. What did you do now? How'd you manage to piss off Master again? My mind was blank. All I could think about was the demonic parasite. Nothing else mattered to me right then. Master's strike had been brutal. My head still throbbed faintly. Michael, for heaven's sake, say something. Master sent a flying sword message last night, summoning me to fetch you from Silverwing Peak. I knew the moment I got it. Something was off. You'd have to be blown another fuse to need rescuing like that. Sure enough, when I got there, you were passed out cold by the main hall's entrance, a huge lump on your forehead. Master locked every door and window tight. I couldn't risk interrupting him, so I carried you back myself. I stared at the ceiling, voice flat. Brother, does Master really hate me? Everyone else gets praised when they make progress, no matter how small. But no matter how hard I train, he never says a single word of approval. Michael's attempt to change the subject caught my brother off guard for a second. Then he let out a slow sigh. Yeah, everyone says Master doesn't like you, but I don't think that's true. He's just always been cold. Never one to wear his heart on his sleeve. Sure, he's grumpy with you, but the ointment you're using, that was his special blend, made himself. He told me to bring it to you personally. I've got this feeling, like he actually cares more than he lets on. He just doesn't want you to know. Honestly, I don't even understand why he does it. I said nothing. On Silverwing Peak, I almost exposed his secret and said things that were practically treason. He must be furious, and my demonic bloodline seems to resonate with the dark aura of the demon cult. This time he went into a seizure, probably because of me. Since he refused to use that method to purge the curse, they had no choice but to rely on the cold from the icy spring to temporarily calm the demon venom's unrest. A wave of guilt washed over me. They say it's better to let things flow than block them. I've been wondering if he's been holding back all this time. Might that make the poison worse? My unease only grew. Master's always been cold, never really close to anyone. Besides me, who else would dare bother him every day? Everything changed during the sect assembly. That day, the sect leader called all disciples together to discuss how to fight back against the demon clan. Master sat atop the dais. Still that icy, aloof, untouchable Jonathan immortal. I kept my eyes locked on him in the crowd, but he didn't spare me a single glance. Then, one of the elders suddenly lunged, drawing his sword to stab the sect leader. He missed his strike, but the sect leader still took a nasty wound. At the same time, shadowy figures surged from the crowd. Demon cultists. They'd possessed our disciples' bodies long ago. Hidden in plain sight all this time, chaos erupted instantly. Seeing his plan had failed, the assassin turned and bolted toward the back mountains. Master drew his sword and said to the other elders, "I'll go after him." The dark magic in the back mountains was thick, almost suffocating. "Master," I gritted my teeth and launched my sword, racing to keep up with Master's pace. Along the way, I saw fellow disciples, twisted by dark magic, their minds gone. A cold dread clawed at me. Was this half-demon blood in my veins really as vile and monstrous as they say? Master's sword glide was blindingly fast. By the time I caught up, we were miles from the main hall. Even from afar, the stench of dark magic hit me like a wall. The traitor was spent. Master's blade pressed to his throat. One flick and it would be over. Suddenly, the elder spoke up, his voice ragged with desperation. "No, Jonathan Immortal. I know you're under the curse of the demon worm. There's no one else here. You won't survive much longer if you don't purge it." He seemed to be grasping at straws, pleading frantically. "Let me live. I can help you break the curse. What do you say? Who the hell does he think he is? Dreaming of Master?" I'd had enough. I lunged forward in a blur, driving my sword home to pin him down. "What kind of scum are you?" The elder stared at me in disbelief, blood gushing from his mouth as he wheezed. No wonder, Jonathan, you actually raised a little demon yourself." That was the last thing he ever said. Then he went still. With the traitor dealt with, I turned to Master, heart pounding. Of course, his demon cult has flared up again. My master seemed too weak to even scold me for being here. He gritted his teeth and whispered, "Take me back. I need to retreat to the cold spring cave immediately." Before the words even finished leaving his lips, he suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood. Felt like a needle pricked my heart. But the sect's territory stretched endlessly across mountains and valleys. Right then, I had no idea which way to go. No clue where the cold spring even was. The scent of orchid grew stronger around him, thick in my nose, making my mind reel. I gathered my courage and stepped closer. "Master, we're too far from the cold spring now. We can't make it back." He hung his head. I couldn't see his expression. I took another step forward. Instinctively, he grabbed my wrist, his grip fierce, but his body gave out. He staggered into me, tilting up to look at me. His eyes were red-rimmed, filled with pain and silent endurance. His skin burned like fire. "Let go of me." My master's lashes fluttered. His voice was raw, rough, yet he kept avoiding my gaze. "This is the third time you've had a fit in front of me. You know as well as I do what this means, so tell me, will you push me away again?" He stayed silent for so long, then lifted his head. His eyes, wet and weary, met mine. "Michael, even if it's true, that person shouldn't be you. You don't have to go this far just for me." My mind went blank, like something had cracked open inside. I pulled him tight against me, voice trembling with a mix of tears and resolve. "Why not me? If you hadn't saved me that day, I'd have died at the hands of that demon lord. I was born with nothing except you. You're my reason to keep living. What am I supposed to do if something happens to you?" The more I spoke, the wilder I got. The tears blurred everything. "I'm yours, raised by your hands. You can't just abandon me, even if it means being cursed by everyone. Even if you punish or kill me later, I'd accept it without a word. I was a mess. crying like a fool, no shame left. My master stared at me, stunned. He hadn't expected those words from me. His expression softened. The grip on my wrist eased just slightly. I stared at him through tear-blurred eyes, my chest aching with a sudden wave of sorrow. His hot palm hovered over the back of my neck, hesitant at first, then brushing gently, as if soothing a wounded creature. Then he gave a soft tug, pulling me closer. He exhaled softly, his voice thick with reluctant surrender. "You little mad woman, I never stopped wanting you." In that moment, I truly believed I'd lost my mind. The poison eased just a little, and my master's complexion improved slightly. I carried him on my back, slowly making our way toward the sect's main gate. My master lay quietly across my shoulders, his breath steady and warm against my neck. I'd never felt this grounded before. The eldest brother had been scouring the area for us. When he spotted my master unconscious on my back, he nearly panicked, asking what had happened. I just said the traitor was dealt with, and that my master had simply pushed himself too hard. Nothing more. He squinted at me, puzzled. "Why are you so red in the face? And your lips, they're swollen." I gave a wry smile. "Brother, if you've never felt true connection, you wouldn't understand." He looked completely lost. I wasn't in the mood to explain, so I left him behind and headed straight for Silver Falcon Peak. From what the eldest brother said, the sect's unrest had been quelled, but too many brothers and sisters had fallen in the process. The demon clans were gathering their forces. Everyone across the sect was preparing for the next great battle. My master slept through most of the day, still no sign of waking up. I'd planned to stay by his side until he stirred. But then I got an urgent message from the sect's headmaster via flying dagger. He wanted me at his hall immediately. My stomach dropped. Dread gripped me instantly. Master lay in bed, his face still shadowed with weariness, but the tightness in his brow had eased. I could feel his spiritual energy flowing smoothly through him. Seems like that day's connection really calmed the demon charm down a lot. But this is just a temporary fix. If we're gonna get rid of the demon curse for good. I didn't dare go on. Just blanked my mind and turned toward the Grandmaster's hall. When I got there, I sat stiffly in front of my uncle Grandmaster, hands fidgeting, unsure where to put them. Master Sect Head didn't acknowledge my unease. He just stared at me with a grim expression and got straight to the point. "I'm sure Jonathan's already told you about your origins. The demon clan is advancing fast. Not just our sect, but every righteous faction's been hit. The next battle's coming fast, and right now, we're dangerously short on fighters. This time, you'll have to join the front lines. Back when Jonathan kept you off the battlefield. Do you know why? Was it because I'm half demon? I had a gut feeling, but still kept my tone respectful. I'm sorry. Please clarify for me." "Master," my uncle Grandmaster gave me a long look. "In daily life, you blend in just fine. You could pass as human to anyone's eye. But once on the battlefield, demons will sense your bloodline instantly. You'd become their prime target, easily manipulated. Ever wonder why your master got hurt last time?" I shook my head, completely confused. The master uncle only knew my master had been hurt. Seemed unaware he'd been poisoned by a demon charm. He was lured into a spell, shown something that shattered his focus. That's how he got caught. I asked him what he saw in it. My uncle Grandmaster's expression grew complex. He looked at me slowly and said, "He told me he saw you." I froze, eyes wide in shock. "But I've been staying put at the sect this whole time. Nowhere near any danger. How could my master have seen me in a vision?" My uncle Grandmaster sighed, shaking his head. "In the end, it's just love blinding you. So my master got hurt in that illusion. All because of me." I stood there, stunned, unable to speak. "Enough said. Your master cares for you deeply. Don't let him down out there." I was just about to bow and take my leave when Master Yun's frantic voice rang out from outside the door. "Master Sect Head, the Patriarch has woken up. Says there's urgent business with little brother, and he demands he return immediately." The Patriarch's awake. Master Sect Head blinked, then let out a soft chuckle as he looked at me. "See? That protective streak of his. He was worried I might give you trouble." My heart surged with warmth, stunned and thrilled. Was it really the first thing he thought of after waking up? Me? But what kind of mood would he be in now? Doubt crept back in. My cheeks burned faintly as I bowed quickly and turned toward the Silver Wing Peak. Master Yun was pacing like a caged bird when he saw me, rushing over. "Thank goodness you're back. The Patriarch just sent a flying message asking where you'd vanished to. I didn't even know myself. I had to ask around before finding out you were summoned by the master sect head. Then he didn't hesitate. He ordered me straight away to fetch you. That tone, like I was going to do something terrible to you. My chest warmed all over. Couldn't help but smile. Maybe I was grinning too wide, because Master Yun flinched, gave me a look of pure disdain, and turned away with a shudder. I didn't even glance back. I picked up my pace and sprinted toward the silver wing peak. I pushed open the door to the sleeping chamber and found my master reclining on the bed, a book in hand, leisurely flipping through the pages. The room was filled with calming sandalwood incense, candlelight flickering softly, casting gentle shadows. My stomach twisted a little. I glanced at his face, searching for any sign that something was off, but his expression remained cold, as calm and detached as ever, no hint of anything unusual. Gathering my courage, I stepped to the edge of the bed and inched closer, then nudged a little more. "Did the sect leader give you trouble?" He spoke suddenly, his voice still rough but soft as a feather brushing against my heart, sending a shiver through me. I pouted on purpose, playing the wounded little puppy. "He did." His hand paused mid-turn. Then he set the book down and looked at me. I instantly lit up, eyes wide and bright, waiting for him to ask more. But the master just stared at me with those icy eyes, like frozen stars, for a long moment, then let out a cold huff and tapped my head gently with his book. Liar. I had no choice but to drop the act and answer honestly. The sect leader said, "The threat from the demon clan is getting closer. Next battle, I'll be going out with the squad." His brows snapped together instantly. "So that's why you kept me off the battlefield before? Because you were afraid they'd recognize my identity and use me, right?" I looked at him, voice soft. He glanced at me, no denial. I didn't want to ruin this rare moment of warmth, but I couldn't help it. The question had been burning inside me for too long. "Master, you know what happens if the demon venom isn't completely eradicated, right?" "I read in the scrolls." "Yeah, I know." He cut me off, voice unervingly calm. I knew full well that the longer the demon curse lingered, the worse it would be for the host. If never fully purged, the victim would eventually lose their mind. Nothing but a hollow shell, moving through life like a ghost. Even though I'd seen him at his weakest, I couldn't bear to see him end up like that. "Then, when it comes," I hesitated, voice trembling. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "I'll end it myself." That hit me like cold water, drenching from head to toe, freezing every nerve. I reached out, fingers shaking, gripping his hand tight, icy to the touch. "Master, how could you even think of?" He didn't pull away from my grip, just spoke in that cold, detached tone of his. "What else could I do? Would you really want me to end up like that?" I shook my head frantically, eyes welling up instantly, but his expression stayed utterly calm, like he'd already made peace with the choice. I was panicking, clutching his hand like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. "No, Master, there has to be a way. If just one demon is willing to sacrifice their core soul crystal for a bond, we can break this curse completely." He yanked his hand back sharply, eyes flickering with something unreadable. "Michael, you know as well as I do, throughout history, no demon has ever willingly offered up their core soul crystal for an outsider. So how could there possibly be one who'd risk everything just to cure me? What about me?" I stared at him, voice raw with strain. "Master, what about me? I'd do anything for you." He hadn't expected that. His gaze snapped to me, stunned. Emotions swirled behind his eyes like storm clouds. After a long silence, he let out a bitter laugh, voice colder than ice. "Michael, what makes you so certain I love you?" "Certain?" My chest seized up, like someone had twisted a knife inside. Couldn't breathe. I held my chin high, fighting back tears. "You've always cared about me." He seemed to snap at my words, his voice turning icy in an instant. "After a century and more as master and disciple, caring for you is nothing short of natural. But I'm your master, you're my student. There should never have been anything beyond that. So the bond we shared that day, just a forced exception, nothing more." I stood there hollowed out, mind blank. I couldn't tell if he was lying or telling the truth. Removing the demon curse requires mutual affection. Only if a demon willingly offers up their inner core will it work. If he doesn't love me, then it's all for nothing. I never saw my master again before heading into battle. For some reason, I'd become restless and irritable, Something tiny could set me off like a spark to gunpowder. Finally, the sect gathered all its disciples and marched forth in full force toward the demon realm. My master and a few elders went ahead to scout enemy movements. The closer we got to the human realm's border, the thicker the demonic aura grew in the air. My inner unrest only deepened. Midway through our march, a sudden roar of battle erupted ahead. Everyone drew their swords instantly, ready for war. At that moment, a shrill, grating screech tore through the sky, and a twisted, oily voice rang out. "Jonathan Immortal, haven't seen you in ages. How's the taste of this demon curse treating you?" Mind blown, a swirling mass of humanoid black mist surged forward, reeking of demonic energy. I saw a streak of sharp sword light, cold and blinding, crash down on the mist. My master's strike. Dozens of demons poured out from within the shadow, howling as they charged toward us, blood thick in the air. The fight was about to explode. Demonic fog blanketed everything. In the chaos, I spotted my master at once. He was chasing the mist, face hard as stone, sword flashing with icy precision. Then, out of nowhere, the mist halted, like a beast sniffing the air, and suddenly swung around. His gaze locked onto me. In a flash, he shot forward like an arrow loosed from a bow. Within the darkness, two blood-red eyes burned at me. Hunger and delight mixed in their glare. It let out a thunderous, mocking laugh. "So it's you? Oh, this is *fun*. Jonathan. You've been the one haunting my illusions all these years? And here I thought, you're actually my long-lost child after a century of separation. What the hell?" I froze, my heart slamming against my ribs. That demon, wasn't he supposed to have been wiped out by the righteous sects over a century ago? So what in the world is this black mist? My master was clearly enraged. His face turned ice cold, and he snapped, "Never dies, never leaves." He slashed down with his sword, splitting the mist in two. But it writhed like a living thing, reforming almost instantly. The air trembled with that monster's mocking laugh. "My child, blood of the Dark Clan runs through you, born to be one of us. How can you serve a killer who took your father's life? What the hell is going on?" Suddenly, my blood roared in my veins. Some alien force surged through my meridians, screaming at me to surrender, to join it. "No, I will not." I gritted my teeth, fighting the blood's frenzy. Terror clawed up from deep inside. The black mist was clearly weaker than my master. It kept dodging, just stalling for time. It's trying to activate the demon worm. My master's expression didn't flicker. Still cold, still composed, still, his grip on the sword never wavered. Flashes of light sliced through demons left and right. The other elders were locked in their own battles, too busy to help. I bit down hard on my lip, letting the pain keep me sharp. I couldn't let some twisted blood bond twist my mind. My master's movements began to slow. The demon seized the opening, dissolving into a shadowy mist that lunged at his master's back with deadly force. Hundreds of demons surged forward like a tide, surrounding the master completely. There was no way he could react to the ambush from behind. I gritted my teeth, ignoring my own danger, and launched myself into the air, throwing my body directly in front of my master. In an instant, dozens of tendrils wrapped in black mist lashed through my limbs, driving deep into my dantian with a sickening force. The pain was excruciating. I nearly passed out. The core spirit is the foundation of a cultivator's existence. Those tendrils, wrapped in black mist, were gnawing at me with demonic energy. My inner elixir trembled violently in my dantian, on the verge of being ripped free. At the same time, the surrounding demons were drained of their spiritual energy by the shadow mist and turned to ash. Its real target wasn't my master at all. It was me. It wants to possess my body and refine my half-demon inner core. My master's face twisted in shock. The man's lips trembled. He swung his sword instantly, trying to cut the tendrils from my flesh. But those limbs clung like poison embedded deep in bone. No matter how hard he slashed, they wouldn't come off. The tendrils writhed violently into my dantian, greedily siphoning the power from my core essence. I could feel it clearly. The evil force seeping through every inch of my body, claiming me bit by bit. The demon's voice echoed in my mind, dripping with triumphant arrogance. "My child, what a perfect vessel you are. And this mixed blood core, rare in all the realms. With you as my host and this core refined, I'll grow stronger than I was a century ago. This world will be mine for the taking. My mind began to blur, thoughts sluggish as rusted gears grinding to a halt. I saw my master staring at me in terror, his sword trembling, not just aimed at the demon, but also pointing right at me. A wet thud. With the last flicker of clarity, I channeled every ounce of spiritual energy through my body, shattering the protective barrier around my dantian in a violent surge, forcing the sacred bond to activate, ripping my core soul gem from its prison deep within. The pain was unbearable. A searing agony like every bone in me was being crushed and reassembled. Clutching the pale white core flecked with dark ink, my fingers bleeding from the grip, I stared at the swirling black mist and spoke slowly, each word cutting like a blade. My soul gem, my life, you're not getting either. Before my master could stop me, I made my choice, firing the last of my strength straight at him, hurling my true essence toward Jonathan. The moment the core essence left my body, life drained from me like water through a sieve. I remembered exactly what the ancient text said. Breaking a demonic curse required giving your true core, bond of intent as the key. Without its lure, the demon's spirit had nowhere to hide. It screamed in terror, raw and unrelenting. Master dropped his sword with a clang. He staggered forward, crashing into me, wrapping his arms around my falling body, voice cracking, "Michael, you lunatic." His hands were burning hot. I'd never seen him like this. Unhinged, not even that time. The sweeter the memory, the sharper the pain of now. Blood welled from my lips as I struggled to raise a hand, trembling toward his face. My voice was barely a whisper. My inner core. It was always the master's all along. If you're going to end it all, then let me go first. I drifted through a void of endless darkness, lost in time and thought. Felt like my core was empty. Something vital missing, gone. Oh, it's coming back to me now. I don't have my inner alchemical pill anymore. I gave it to someone really important. Who was it again? Thinking had become almost unbearable. A clear, shimmering ripple of spiritual energy surged toward me, growing louder as it drew near. Could be the resonance of the inner dantian. Suddenly, a warm surge filled my empty dantian, slow and steady. Something was moving gently within me. An inner alchemical pill? Who gave it to me? I caught a whiff, familiar, faint like wild mint. I opened my eyes to find myself lying in the master's private chambers. The room was empty, no one else around. My body was crisscrossed with tiny wounds, a dull ache pulsing beneath the surface, especially at my dantian. A faint glow pulsed gently, proof of the inner alchemical pill settling back into place. I reached out, brushing my fingers over the warm skin, feeling the steady flow of chi beneath my palm. And then it hit me. Something was wrong. Where's my master? Where is he? I couldn't find him in the inner sanctum. Panic surged through me. I didn't care about the pain, stumbling out of bed and rushing around frantically. Silver Wing Peak was always buried under snow, the cold biting deep into the bones. My spiritual energy hadn't returned. My lips were blue with cold, trembling all over. I staggered toward the back mountain, and there it was, the familiar icy pool I knew so well. There he was. My master. He sat cross-legged in the pool, eyes closed. His face was deathly pale, frost clinging to his long lashes, like a statue carved from ice, utterly still. A faint glow, pearl white intertwined with ink black, flickered in his dantian, the mark of my inner core. I froze with terror. Without thinking, I leapt into the freezing water. The cold hit me like a blade. It numbed my limbs in an instant. Thank God. Just as I was about to freeze solid, he slowly opened his eyes. Those clear eyes, my chest tightened. All the fear and sorrow I'd been holding in burst free. Tears spilled over, unstoppable. The pulsing inner dantian finally gave me a sense of being alive. Crying again? His voice was weak, but soft as silk. You've been crying a lot lately. What's gotten into you? I couldn't hold it in anymore. I threw myself into his arms and clung to him, sobbing hard. The pool's water was frigid, but his embrace, warm, safe. He stiffened for a split second, then slowly raised his hand and rested it on my back, gently patting me, just like you'd soothe a child. A wave of warm, spiritual energy flowed from his palm into me, melting the icy grip in every inch of my body. Master! I buried my face into his chest, voice muffled and thick with a sniffle. What in the world is going on? I was dead. Really dead. So how could I be here? My master didn't answer, just gently took my hand and pressed it against his lower dantian. Under my palm, my own alchemical pill, pearl white veined with ink black, pulsed in harmony with his spirit energy, steady and smooth. Then he guided my hand back over my own dantian. There, a clear and warm inner core pulsed gently, carrying the familiar scent of orchid. His true essence, his lifeblood spirit. I jerked my head up, staring at him in disbelief, lips trembling. Could it be? Reciprocity, he murmured. Master gently brushed his fingers over my brows, his gaze so tender it seemed to drip with warmth. He looked at me, each word deliberate. You gave me your core essence, I'll return the favor, giving you mine in kind. In his eyes swirled a storm of emotion, worry, tenderness, and something older, deeper, a love that had waited 100 years. That look burned through me, scalding at the soul. Heat surged up from deep inside, molten and undeniable. So, what about the demon curse? I sniffled, voice quiet as I asked. Taken care of. Master looked at me, his voice steady. Your core spirit carries demonic blood, perfectly attuned to the demon worm, with my own core spirit nourishing it through spiritual energy. The two have merged. The poison is gone. Perfect. I exhaled slowly, the weight in my chest finally lifting after all this time. He seemed amused by my reaction. A small smile tugged at his lips as he asked teasingly, So, disappointed? I shook my head violently, cheeks warming. Not at all. Before I could finish, he leaned in, his face filled my vision. In those clear eyes, my own reflection stared back, sharp and close. I froze, completely rooted to the spot like I'd been hit with a stillness spell. Couldn't move a muscle. Master, he actually kissed me. Wait, does this mean? But it was so light, like a feather brushing my lips. Gone in an instant. He let go right away, his voice slightly awkward as he murmured, Go on up. Your wound shouldn't get wet. I stood there, dazed and numb, licking my lips absent-mindedly, still feeling that fleeting warmth lingering like a whisper. Master didn't seem to realize how close he'd just come to breaking me. He reached out, took my hand, and started pulling me toward the shore. But I caught it. His ear tips were already crimson. My heart skipped a beat. Without thinking, I turned my hand and gripped his tighter, rose up on tiptoe, stared straight into his glistening lips, and kissed him back. The cold pool rippled where the water splashed around us. A faint tremor pulsed in the dantian, as if answering the flutter of his heart. His ears blazed even redder now, spreading a soft flush across his cheeks. He turned away, couldn't look at me. Voice low and rough. Go rest, heal properly. It wasn't until much later that I found out it was Master Secthead who saved both me and my master. That day, when the sect master's elder brother arrived and sensed the demonic aura, he found the master standing by my side, cradling my still pulsing inner core in his hands. His face went pale with shock. The master calmly told him he'd trade hearts with me. Master Sect Chief thought his master had gone mad from grief. It wasn't until my master finally confessed the truth, that he'd been infected by a demonic charm, that everything clicked. At the time, the demon spirit was fused to my inner core. If we just returned it straight to my dantian, I'd have woken up as nothing more than a vessel for the demon. The demon spirit couldn't possibly withstand my master's pure spiritual energy. It was laughable even to think it could cling to his inner core. So the only way forward was for my master to trade his dantian with mine, giving me his, and living on with mine. With both cores merged, we could purge the demon's curse, and finally banish the last of its spirit for good. But no one was sure if swapping the two dantians would actually work. Exchanging dantians was incredibly dangerous. Any misstep could drain a cultivator's energy completely, leaving them broken and powerless. His master uncle had once asked him seriously, Have you thought about what happens if the exchange fails? You'd lose not just your cultivation, but your life. But his master didn't hesitate. If we don't do it, I'm already dead. There's no way to stop the demon poison from taking over completely. It was a gamble, a high-stakes bet on the deep, decades-long love we'd both been running toward each other all along. Thankfully, we won. During that war, Michael should have stayed put back at the sect like he was supposed to. But why did I see him in that illusion? He was wrapped head to toe in dark magic, standing on the enemy's side, staring at me with eyes so cold they felt like strangers. In panic, I forgot this was just a trick of the mind, a lie. I gritted my teeth and raised my sword toward him. Then he dissolved into a swirl of black smoke, laughing as it surged at me. At the moment my blade was about to pierce his chest, I couldn't do it. I pulled just enough to miss. Seeing me falter, the shadowy figure laughed, dark and twisted. He laughed, then vanished into a swirl of black mist, lunging toward me. For a split second, I hesitated. That was all it took. The mist surged around me, swallowing me whole. Something sharp jabbed into my wound, like a needle piercing through flesh. A venomous insect, thick with dark magic, shot through my veins and began tearing through me. My blood boiled. Even breathing felt like fire in my lungs. The mist flickered, then coalesced into Michael's form, solid once more. He stared at me, surprise in his eyes, then that familiar smirk, like he'd just found a new toy to play with. He leaned in close. His voice slithered into my ear, low and honeyed. "Master, feeling hot, aren't you? Why's it always me you want to see first? After the curse took hold? Why? I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to know." Suddenly, I snapped awake, ripped from the illusion. I was still in my chambers on Silver Wing Peak. It had been ages since the battle where I'd fallen under the curse of the demon charm. Michael lay beside me, one arm still draped around my waist, fast asleep. I stared at his face, lost in thought. When I first saw him, he was just a tiny baby, half the length of my arm, wrinkled like a monkey's paw. Bringing him into the sect, I realized rare talent, unusually sharp mind. I was proud of how he'd grown, but also worried, constantly. I feared the day his demon blood would pull him down the dark path. And worse, I worried that if that day came, I'd be too weak to end him. Not from fear of death, but because my heart wouldn't let me. Too much guilt for letting my own feelings blind me. So, as he grew older, I started deliberately pulling away from him. The way he'd scrunch up his face, eyes welling with that wounded look whenever I turned cold. God, it nearly broke me, but I'd force myself to stay stone-faced every time. Still, I couldn't help wondering what kind of man this unusual boy would become. Michael shot up fast. By 18, he was already taller than me. He was a handful, always getting into trouble, but never missed a lesson, and got along just fine with his older peers. Time flew by. Before I knew it, a century had passed. He'd become a tall, lean young man, solid in power, one of the strongest cultivators in the sect. Yet my worry never lessened, not even a bit. After all, his true nature was still a ticking time bomb. Then I noticed something changed in the way he looked at me. It wasn't just reverence anymore. There was something else, something tangled and hard to name. I didn't know what it was. Maybe I did. I just couldn't admit it to myself. That realization shook me to the core, because I realized, with a quiet kind of dread, that in my eyes, he was no longer the little apprentice who needed protecting. Seeing him laugh and chat with the female cultivators made me strangely uneasy. When he'd go out of his way to cause trouble just to get my attention, I'd rage but also ache inside. Days turned into weeks. My coldness toward him grew sharper. Everyone thought I hated Michael, so did he. Apparently, every time he saw me, his eyes filled with a hurt so deep it reminded me of a stray dog left behind. It wasn't until I'd been cursed that I finally understood. He wasn't some poor, abandoned puppy at all. He was a wolf all along, quietly plotting me from the start. Later on, he found out why I'd been cold toward him. He'd once leaned into my chest, looking up at me with those big eyes, and asked, "If I really turned into a villain, would you kill me?" "There won't be any if," I said, my voice firm. I ran a hand through his hair and answered, calm but resolute, "I'm just asking. What if?" He wouldn't let it go, pouting like a kid who'd set his heart on an answer. Those shiny eyes locked onto mine. I sighed and narrowed my brows. I reached out and gently pinched the side of his neck, teasing him with just enough pressure to make it clear I wasn't serious. "Then I'd lock you away. Keep you right here with me for good." But when he heard that, his eyes darkened, swirling with a storm of emotions I couldn't read. My pulse skipped. His throat moved under my fingers, warm, steady, and the heat shot through me like lightning. I yanked my hand back fast. He let out a low laugh instead. His fingers brushed over the old scar on my wrist. Voice rough, certain. "Whatever you want to do, I'll welcome it."